Yo, Joey, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing today?
Day is good, brother. Just another day in the grind. Feeling good though.
Th- Thank you so much for joining me on this member spotlight for Owners Club. I really am excited that you are the first interview, and I get to showcase your business and who you are as a business owner as my first interview for this series. So let's jump into it. Let's get right into it.
Let's do
So,
it.
why don't you tell the listeners what your business does? What is your business?
So I am a co-owner of a physiotherapy practice as it stands right now, and the name of it is Progressive Motion Physiotherapy. But you're actually speaking to us at a very interesting time of a transition to where we're converting our business into a much more holistic wellness and performance business where we hope to really highlight and showcase this intersection of cultures and intersections of professions because I believe that people need to hear about what's accessible to them, and that's excellence across the board through different professions such as massage therapy, training, physio, and hopefully expands to further more. But for now, I think we're gonna keep our focus into those buckets.
Yeah, your business has evolved so much in the last couple of years, but it has even evolved, I mean, even faster in the last 6 months. And I think it's really, really fascinating how you are evolving your specialty into, a very macro belief of like vision and mission and really coming up with this more root cause solution to, wellness and mobility, right? It's not just the function expertise of physio, but all the different elements that go into health and wellness. And I think it's awesome and fascinating. And we could dive into that. But before we get into it, let's talk about who do you serve? Who's your business for?
Well, that's the funny part, right? Like if you look at our brand on the surface, it's the aesthetic alludes to, oh, we only work with professional athletes, college athletes. And I think that's also part of why it's been kind of a lot of fumbles on the in this journey in regards to our messaging because we've always believed that we're for so many people, and I think that's a common thing that a lot of business owners will say within their service, but it also leads to a confusing message, right? Because if you're speaking to all, that means you're probably speaking to none. But I
Yeah.
started to realize that the people that we're speaking to are ones that want excellence within their life and people that are wanting to be their highest self. And so there's a mindset that goes into who we serve. And so we're working with people that are like in the tech space, people that are professionals sitting at the front of this computer that also want to be strong moms and dads, but also people that want to get after it on the weekend, but don't have a thought process or a framework to operate on. So we help anyone from the professional athlete all the way to the person that just wants to be strong for their children. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's not the typical demographic ICP that you started off with, right? Now it's like evolved into this like mindset ICP. It's like you're looking for people that want to grow. You're looking for people that want to like build and optimize their life. And I think that that's really, really a unique evolution. And I'm really, really excited about it. It's a very unique epiphany, and I think that it's evolving the business a lot because of that epiphany. And super fun to see you take a physical therapy company and like turn it into, I don't even know what you're going to call this as you start to evolve this, right? So,
I, I mean, the cool part about that, right? Like Progressive Motion Physiotherapy is the business name. And I think Keone, our graphic designer who just, redid our brand, our logo, our website, as it stands, it looks like it's Progressive Motion, right?
mhm.
Because Progressive Motion operates out of the Motion Lab. The Motion Lab is the location where this work gets done. So right now
Yeah.
we have the Motion Lab in Union City, we have one in San Jose, we have a space in Palo Alto. But as you know, we have some exciting plans, hopefully moving forward, to be able to really give the Bay Area a true taste of this culture.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, very cool, man. I love it. So tell me a little bit about what you have planned next. What are you doing next with Progressive Motion?
Right now, well, based on our meeting that we had earlier, we were on like a full blitz on testing,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of the not so glamorous part about being a business owner is that you have all these ideas and in theory they sound great, but you really don't know until you test, you test and test and test, and then you read the data and you make more objective decisions. And right now, our biggest focus based on our call today is, we're going to work on a little bit more focused recruiting while all the other things are spinning, because what this world needs are people in different industries that are also movement curious, to know that, each, like for example, massage therapists that are specialized in body work, we want movement curious massage therapists, because this allows us to expand what progressive motion is to the world by giving people what they think they need, body work,
Mm.
or trainers what they think they need is get stronger, because that's the low hanging fruit, right? The reality is society's not really ready to hear that you need physio. You
Yeah.
need more specific movement training, and that's okay. And so what we're trying to do is really kind of throw our net out and basically pay it forward to what Claire Frank, our mentor, gave us in leveling us up as physios. And now we're trying to give the movement science to all the different industries of people that are hungry for movement science and want to pass that on to their clients. And right now, that's kind of where we are, man.
Yeah, and if I could just kind of double down on what you're saying, it sounds like you're just in growth mode and like trying to figure out how to expand this, both also like philosophically in the evolution of your business, but also tactically. It sounds like it's a really big focus to like also grow it with recruiting and bringing on different verticals and really like really supporting and feeding this evolution of your business and this focus to like unlock people's movement.
Yeah, I saw, we set the stage right in our meeting early 2023, January. It's like grow the team and grow the business and disrupt physio. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
right, those three main goals, all the objectives fall within those three, and then all the tactics that we're doing fall within those. And so it's just staying focused on the main three,
That's
and that helps,
awesome.
gives me peace of mind, because now it's really just three goals.
Yeah, you are actually doing your three goals exactly to a T. It's pretty amazing to think about it that way. That's very cool. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
also really cool to talk about it in this point of your business because you are in a really pivotal point in your business where you're evolving it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really fun to be able to explain it to people over the course of the next few months and years as you start to do this kind of one of a kind thing. I mean, there's some other people and players in the space kind of doing this holistic wellness thing with other different function experts as it relates to motion, but I don't think that it's as prolific or as dominant. I feel like it's still kind of pioneering to like really build out a way to give people that want high mobility and to optimize their mobility and longevity a place where they can come and get everything essentially, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Fitness, PT, recovery, massage, you name
mental
it, right?
performance.
Mental performance, chiro, like whatever. All
Yeah.
those things are now going to be like, it's going to be what's best for their movement journey, not necessarily to solve a problem, which is what most people think PTs are for, right?
Yeah, it's always this assumption that we only help people that have been broken down, and that's an entry point. And I don't want to understate the power of that when people need the help, because I think the teacher will be ready when the student arrives, right?
Yeah.
Like when they really need that work. But I think if we can get ahead of it, we now have a deeper conversation about longevity and increasing your what we call health span, which is the years that you remain healthy versus just increasing your lifespan, right? And Dr. Peter Attia talks about this, where most of Western medicine is reactive, in that we will wait until we have heart disease until we give you medicine to expand your life.
Mm-hmm.
But health span, we're trying to show people that there's a proactive way in holistically treating your body so that you get ahead of what may be coming your way.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're working on.
Dude, I love it. I love it. And I just feel like it's such a fun time to be talking about your business. And in some ways, I almost like glad that you have a co-founder because I can now interview Josh as a member spotlight a year from now when this is fully flushed out. Because in a lot of ways, I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be exciting for people to listen to this, but also hard for them to wrap their brain around what the business actually is. But one thing that is very obvious and very pervasive in everything that you've said so far is that you're incredibly passionate about what you do. You like love it for the love of it. And so let's go back to the beginning. So walk me through how you even started this business, and why did you leave? Why did you leave the comforts of like a W-2, or what was that journey like into starting this business and kind of branching off on your own?
Well, to give you context, I mean, I'm first generation Filipino that, you know, grew up in very interesting areas where I always felt othered,
Mm.
right? And, getting older, going through life, I've realized now looking back, your pain truly does create your purpose if you want it to be.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful for this because I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be a business owner. I was okay with just saying, hey, I will be okay if I actually just work at a PT clinic and just be pretty good at what I do. And I think that's kind of what's it for me.
Yeah.
But in 2014, after I'd been a PT for about 3 years, I had grown very tired about complaining about my life. I
Hmm.
grew very tired about being even around my own words because I realized like the stress that I carried was ultimately due to this unhappiness in my professional career. And so I had an opportunity to eventually transition out of an old job. And I actually quit before even having my next job.
Oh
And
wow.
which you're never, I don't advise you doing that, but I did it anyway because my previous experiences were extremely, I could say, underwhelming. And I had an opportunity to start my own thing out of another physical therapy clinic here in Belmont. And my friend Elisa, she basically allowed me to start my own business as a sole proprietor and rent rooms from her. And that was in 2014. And the worst thing that could have happened was I can go back and get another job. That's the psychology of that was so helpful
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if that's the worst thing, let's try it. And that's kind of where I was in 2014.
Oh man, that's amazing. So a sense of like dissatisfaction, a sense of like longing, and then the justification was you could always go back to being slightly less happy
I
and
could always
working.
do that. And that's pretty safe,
Yeah, that's a good
right?
reasons for starting a business and trying this. Yes,
Like that
I
was
think that's brilliant. Yeah.
that was it. And I knew there was like I and Josh will tell you too, we went to school, got our doctorate, and you see what's out there and you're like, damn, is this what we went to all these years of school for? We paid all this money to only work in these type of environments. Like I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm eliciting change.
Yeah.
So
What was the did you ever have a turning point? Because I'm assuming it sounds like you were subleasing a space to start your business, and I'm sure it took a while to ramp up. What was that process like of where you're like, hey, this is the point of no return, or did you even have that trigger point where you knew that you're gonna say, hey, this is not working, I'm gonna go back, or what was that process like?
I think once I got the ball rolling and I started just saying, okay, I don't know anyone in the peninsula. Like my network was extremely small.
Hmm.
I didn't know anyone. I lived in Washington State from 2000 or sorry, 1999 to 2009. I graduated 2011. And then in those 3 years as a PT, I only basically knew my classmates.
Wow.
And a lot of my classmates were spread out. So I didn't have a large network,
Yeah.
especially for business, right? Like that just wasn't a normal conversation in my networks. And so I just said, okay, all I can do right now is just try. Let's just take one step forward and then take another step. Or this is actually when Brick by Brick was born. Like you see us throwing the bricks up on social media
Yeah.
because there was a Will Smith interview with him talking about him and his brother and his father about building a house. And his dad was just like, just lay down this one brick and lay it down the best you can. And
Mm.
that's kind of where I was like, because like when I started this business, I was also working home health. This is like contracted home health PT. I was a per diem PT at like two or three clinics, and I was trying to run progressive motion because
Oh
I
wow.
needed to make money.
You hybrided it.
I had to. Like I needed to make ends meet.
I love
So
that. I love that.
I was grinding on, if I remember correctly, I was Tuesday, Thursday, Friday in Belmont. That's for progressive motion, but I didn't have that many clients, so those days are really wide open. And then Monday, Wednesdays, I did home health per diem at different small clinics just to make money so I could pay bills.
Wow. So you were
And
working a lot.
I was working a tremendous amount and driving a lot because I was driving from, like, the Bay Area, how big it
Yeah.
is. So I turned my car into YouTube University. At the time, there wasn't that many podcasts. So I just turned on YouTube and I kept feeding in my mind because I was naturally, like, through time I became a very negative, pessimistic person. And so by necessity, I had to feed my brain goodness to start shifting my psychology about what I'm capable of. Because I said this earlier, I always grew up othered. I always felt othered. And that othered, you don't grow up a kid that's very confident in himself. And you don't believe that you're actually capable of achieving things. And so when you have that, you realize there's layers on layers and years that have stacked on disbelief of what you can be. And so I just made a commitment, like, if you're going to make this happen, you got to get out of your own way. And so how you're going to do that is you're going to protect your mind from a lot of negativity that comes in and just almost like be naively positive, naively optimistic. And that's what started to instill a belief in I can achieve whatever the hell I want to do.
I love this story. This is amazing. Who knew, man? Who knew? The journey to entrepreneurship is so varied, and yours is definitely one for the storybooks, man. I freaking love it. Let's switch gears a little bit. Talk to
Let's
me a
do it.
little bit about when you started to feel like your business leveled up. Were there key points in the journey that
Oh
you're like,
man.
yeah, this is it. This is happening.
Well, geez, I mean, I had those 3 days in Belmont, and I think it got to a point where, let's say 3 days, I probably was seeing, let's see, when it was like getting full, I was probably seeing 8, 16. I was probably seeing 24 people in 3 days.
Wow, fully
And then
booked.
I was like wrecked though, like tired. I energy wasn't there, so I was just like, getting drinking so much caffeine, going out on weekends because I was just like super stressed. But they got to a point where I was like, this has got to take off. So I got to quit all my other things. So I ended up quitting all the security of the other jobs that were just feeding income. And and actually, if I actually reflect on that a little bit more accurately, before the caseload built up to that 24, I quit because I started to believe in the conviction of the few clients that I had. And it was not 24. I'm so sorry. It was no more than 12 a week. No more than 12 a week until I said, I got to let go of everything else because I can't sustain this energy. I need to go all in and then I'll find out who I am. And so once I was able to do that, little by little, I was able to fill the 3 days. And then once those days were filled, then I started looking for another place to operate Monday, Wednesdays. And that's when I found I started sending out Yelp messages to all these gym owners because I wanted to be more in a gym facility. So I
Yeah.
started offering this thing called FMS. It was like an injury screen. Um, Actually, Equinox uses it as their onboarding process for clients. But I just started saying, hey, I'm a PT practice owner here in the peninsula. If your gym needs help with injury screens, let me know. I was like, just shooting my shot.
Yeah.
And one person brought us in, and that was Melissa Guitron, who owns Opex Cura, who we just had our our fifth motion collab on mental fitness. She brought us in for those Monday, Wednesdays. And then I ended up filling a schedule across the board for
Oh,
5 days a week.
wow.
Yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
that's where Josh actually ended up treating during that next transition.
Yeah, talk to me about that. What was the next
Yeah.
level up? It's because
Yeah. So
you found a
next,
business partner after that.
yeah.
You had the
Yeah.
conviction of saying this is trending upwards and you need to double down on this. You quit the security of the job and you double down on your business. You started floundering and just shooting your shot. One of those things closed in, and now you've leveled up. Now you got a full book of business and you're building
Yeah.
your business. Yeah.
Yeah. I needed help on coverage when I was out of town. And Josh at the time was a good friend of mine. And I just wanted to ask if he could help out, just seeing a couple of clients in San Mateo. And at this time, Josh was working full time. I think he had two kids already, two kids maybe, or one kid. But he was like working full time in another clinic and still drove all the way to San Mateo from South San Jose. to start seeing people on Tuesday and Thursdays. Little by little, he started building his caseload. And then finally, I asked his hand for marriage. And I said, "You want to do this?" And so, yeah, we
How did
ended
you
up
know
forming a
that he was going
partnership.
to be your business partner?
I just never met anyone that had the same level of drive and passion for this work, not that same energy. And I realized that that type of energy is very rare, especially when it can align and complement your skill set. Because I've always
Yeah.
looked up to Josh, and I've always like respected his skill sets,
Yeah.
um, and I felt so, I felt so humbled when he decided to just do it because I knew he had security on the other side of the other practice that he was
Yeah,
working
yeah.
with,
Yeah.
and
And for him,
so
it was kind of like testing. And so you felt a little bit nicer, easier on the heart having him do this because it's not like you were asking him to risk it all yet until his caseload got to the same point you did.
for 2 days though, for him,
Yeah.
yeah,
But he went for it. He saw the path and he saw it.
yeah, I mean,
It's
yeah, he was crazy for it, but yeah.
it's crazy to think that you guys weren't always business partners. It's really fun to hear this story because I've only known you guys. You guys are like totally shake and bake. You guys are like the dynamic duo, and it's fun to hear the story and the origin of this being such a separate business at first. That's awesome.
Totally, man.
Very cool. Keep going. So what's the next level up?
Oh, geez. So this is where we learned a lot. You've heard of vision boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh
I
yeah.
made a vision board. I made a vision board with my very, very first business coach. She like made me do one, and because I never done one. And
Yeah.
so anyway, I put a bunch of pictures, inspiring quotes, and the logo. And at this time, I think it was already like a year in. I had the vision board made, and Josh and I decided like, hey, we should probably get a spot now. And so we started looking around, and there was a spot in Menlo Park. This is 2017, at the end of 2017, and we're touring places, and we get to this one location, and Josh is walking up the stairs. I'm shortly following him, and he keeps going down the hall as he gets to the second floor, and I get to the top of the stairs, and I stop, and I look at the wall,
Hmm.
and I'm like, holy shit. And there was a quote, is it only do great things with great love? Something along those lines of Mother Teresa's quote. And I was like, where was that? And I was like, oh my God. And I took my phone out,
Yeah.
and there was only one quote, only
Yeah.
one quote that was actually touching the hand logo. And it was that quote.
That's awesome.
And, and
In
so
your
there was
vision
a,
board, you mean?
on the vision board, sorry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that same quote was on the wall of the
That's
place. And
awesome.
so
That's
we
awesome.
ended up we ended up opening that place in Menlo Park, learned a lot. Definitely wasn't an ideal place for long term. So it's definitely taking that experience of opening it is going into this experience with hopefully doing the same as we go into the future. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we ended up opening that together for a couple of years until COVID.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think that it sounds like you've had quite the journey in your business ownership journey where you've actually like had a lot of influential and impactful people and you knew when to ask for help and they've come in and out of your life. Like I know even like there's just so many people. Like can you just kind of
yeah,
list off all the influential people? Like I mean there's like at least half a dozen that you've I think talked about like with your like logo with like your like Claire Frank. I mean even right now even it listed off four people that have like really helped you guys like catapult. And I'd love to hear those people real quick, but also just like how did you know when to ask for help? Because I think a lot of business owners are not like you. They don't know when to ask for help for leveling to the next stage.
yeah. So I'll just start off with, I think asking for help for me was always hard when I was a young kid because I was always afraid of looking inept and unable. And so I just shut down. I became a very quiet kid
Mm-hmm.
who didn't ask because he didn't want to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started getting into entrepreneurship, I knew that I knew nothing. And I think the conviction within my heart started to grow so much that I knew that I had something, but I needed access to people that can help me facilitate this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led me to just asking help with, I think, with the intent of being able to eventually serve through my business. And so the people that, not in any kind of order, the people that really, I would say, helped me, but also helped me pave a path. Number one, I have to mention Simon Sinek, even though he doesn't know me. Um, his start with why was what I anchored on when I wasn't a developed PT or a developed business owner. And
Mm.
that just, what that did for me was it really did show me, like, because I didn't meet you until 2021.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So mind you, that's 7 years of running business until I met you.
yeah,
So being able to run business on 7 years with no mechanics and no rigor,
yeah,
to me, honestly says something about how deep of a conviction you can have for a business and how much it can actually push you to a certain point.
yeah.
But if you can accelerate it with mechanics and rigor, that would have been nice.
Yeah, yeah,
That would
yeah,
have been nice. But
yeah.
so Simon Sinek leaning in with why are you doing this work? Jason Maiden, who, if you're looking at my background, he jumped us off in 2020 with a huge design that really catapulted our vision into this phase. Claire Frank, she is to me the equivalent of the Steph Curry of our physio industry.
Nice.
Um, I mean, those are the strong three that I can. Oh, Tony Robbins, just the way he teaches. I didn't
Yeah,
obviously never met him. We went to an event with him, but I think it's more the mechanics of psychology, the mechanics of business, the mechanics of the things that he teaches.
yeah.
Because
Powerful.
yeah, there was a quote actually I want to share is that like early on in the journey, he said, "The success of a business is at the behold of the psychology of the owner,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I got so obsessed with psychology because I knew that I was just always in my own way.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so I would
true.
say
I
the main
love it,
ones.
man.
Main ones, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like interesting still because you know when to ask for help to scale. And I mean, by the time we had met, you guys were, you know, not structured, but you guys were successful as it relates to most business owners, right? You guys had made a lot of waves. You guys had done a lot of things. Obviously, you failed a lot, but you guys were successful. You guys were making good living, and you guys were doing a good job of like. I mean, it wasn't lucrative and it wasn't efficient, but you guys were doing good. I mean, most business owners, it's pretty normal. I mean,
Yeah.
now I know that in hindsight, right? I mean, I didn't know that when I first met you. I'm like, what are you guys doing? But
Yeah.
like in hindsight, now that I talk to small business owners at scale, and I just talk to like probably a couple hundred a year, I'm realizing that so many business owners are like that.
Mm.
But the thing that's unique about you is that you knew that there was a better way, and you asked for help. And a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know to ask for help at different stages. But it seems like at every stage that you've gone through, you were able to figure that out and pull in the right people to help you level up, which is really, really unique.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny that you say this because I just posted something on Instagram with me and BA. Um, and it was this quote from Bruce Lee just taught or a story just about how you approach situations and he drew this metaphor of like having a full cup versus an empty cup when you're ready to learn.
Hmm.
If you have a full cup and you try to pour into that full cup, everything just overflows.
Right.
And so I think I try to enter every situation with an empty cup so I can fill it up with new knowledge.
It's awesome,
And if
man. It's a good mindset.
so, yeah, man.
It's a great mindset. All right. Well, let me talk a little bit about Owners Club here, so I can
So,
bring it home for us here. Let's talk about how Owners Club has helped you as a business owner.
well, I think just hearing that story, like I didn't have anyone to connect with. And
Yeah.
so you what you have at your disposal is many business owners that can share struggle.
Mhm.
And also,
Yeah.
right, it doesn't feel as lonely now, right? It's like, oh yeah, their operational rigor sucks too. So, but then we all started business for many different reasons, right? But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, we're trying to serve the people that we are trying to attract into our business, right?
Mhm.
And so I think having people to bounce ideas, to see and hear developments of other people, it's very inspiring because we all started from somewhere. And so having a network is extremely powerful to be able to use for resources, conversation, and just learning, man, and elevate together. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I will say that you guys have really not only been, really great at like the community aspect of it, and I think, bonding and building friendships and all those good things, but I think the really cool thing about you guys is that you guys have used the process, the owner's manual framework to really catapult your business and like the operational rigor that you're talking about. Like it's you guys have quickly become the bench for me. Like when I compare other businesses that I have to, that I'm like, oh man, I always compare you guys to like PMPT because you guys really latched on to the system really, really hard and fast, and it was like amazing to watch just the business just start to skyrocket, very, very quickly. And I remember your first goal was actually really funny because I don't know if you remember this, but when we first started working together, you're like, hey, we're happy with how much we make. We just want to work less. We just don't want to work 70 hours a week. We want to work like 30 hours a week and we want to be making a little more money. And like, I think you hit that goal in like 5 or 6 months. And then like that lasted all of 2 months. And you're like, we're kind of bored. We want to make more money. And you're like, okay, let's grind. And then now you guys are working like 60, 70 hours a week again. I think like you guys were kidding yourselves trying to be lifestyle business owners. I think you guys like the punishment and the grind, yeah, because we figured out how to do that pretty damn quick. I mean, I remember it being like 4 or 5 months. We like figured it out, and then like you're like, I think you lasted like 6 weeks before you're like, yeah, let's go bigger. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think, well, we didn't know, at that time. I guess it's our own limiting mindset of like big must be really scary and
Yeah,
impossible, or,
yeah,
because you hear a lot of people, business owners that didn't have rigor or structure,
yeah.
talk about the negativities about scaling. So,
Yeah, it is very scary, especially if you don't know it, right? And so that's the reality. But yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of like hanging out with other business owners that have done it, and then especially like with this process, right? Like you can kind of follow the system. So, anyways, I'll stop selling my
yeah,
own
yeah, yeah.
product here.
All good.
But let me do one more sales pitch. What would you say to any business owners out there on why they should join the Owners Club from your point of view?
I just think that you can be much more efficient with your time, being able to interact with people that are also going through a similar process. Like I literally just told you I was doing business for 7 years before I actually met someone like you, young, who knew how to assess a business. I think that was the thing, right? That's the correlate here of what we do as PTs, like being able to assess and know where to start
Mm,
to take you to where you want to be. But we had a lot of coaches and they were cool, but they didn't know how to assess because like Josh and I would have things that we think we need, and we would just tell them we need to start doing marketing. They're like, okay, we can help you with this. I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, they had no idea where we were,
that's right.
and now having a framework within Owners Club and being able to talk to different people and just DM away, it's pretty cool.
Nice. Awesome. Hey, Joey, thank you so much for taking the time to share more about your business and be my first member spotlight for Owners Club. I am like so ecstatic to have you as my first, like I mentioned, but I'm even more excited that I got to hear about your origin story. It is crazy fun to do this and hear how you started the business, and it's just fun, and it's actually really reflective for me, and makes me more happy and more proud of how much you've accomplished because just from where you've come from to where you are now, like you're like recruiting like your fifth, sixth, seventh person, and and then to hear you talk about how you were like to have 3 jobs just to start this business. It's a huge polarity in the journey, and man, I'm like really proud of you, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. It was, that's why like even when we launched the logo yesterday, internally it was like a really special moment because I
Yeah.
remember those dark ass days, man. There's a lot of doubt. So
Yeah, there is a lot of doubt. Yeah, and I
a
don't
lot.
necessarily know if that ever goes away, but
No.
I'm glad you keep fighting the good fight, brother, and you're on this journey and you're navigating success really well. And so, yeah, look forward to keep growing with you and continue to watch where you progress. And I'm excited to interview Josh next year to see where you're
Yeah.
at with this new evolution of wellness. Yes.
Josh will have a lot to say in 1 year's time. There's gonna be a lot of new things. So it's gonna be a good one.
Cool beans, brother. Well, thanks for taking the time. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yes, sir. All
Okay,
right.
see you
Peace.
inside Owners Club.